So as I was saying, my grandfather was a Pullman porter, and so we came home. He not only had real estate, but he also had his bartending business, and so he would, through Mr. Davis's connections and through his own connections, he basically did a lot of bartending in private homes and catering in private homes, and during those days. Children could serve liquor. Now, I'm not going to say it's the law, so hear what I'm saying. Not legally, but so my brother and I and my father and all of us, we would help work at do a lot of the catering events. So we would be the little waiters dressed in our little white shirts, and I have a black skirt, and my brother had black pants, and we would go have the little tray and walk around the room with the liquor and hors d'oeuvres and all that, seen and not seen. You know what I'm saying? And because of this experience, I'm kind of jumping all over the space, but because of this experience and being able to be in that service industry, I end up learning behavior and being able to read people and understand and reading the room very well. In pivoting back to my grandfather, as I stated, we were very, very close. So when he passed, I mean, it really, really took the wind out of my sails. And I, for lack of a better word, I got lost. I just was like, how I didn't know how to live without him. He was my constant. So my mother passed when I was 11 years old. She had a brain aneurysm, and she was so young. She was 34, and so we went on to go stay with our grandparents. We had a very close family, both sides of my family. My mother's side and my father's side interacted very well with each other. Through the years, they became better and better. My father looked at my mother's brothers and sisters like they were his brothers and sisters, and so when my mom passed, I was sharing with my therapist the other day. I really feel like she was that bond, like that gorilla glue in our family. I think she was called like the knee baby. She was right there in between. She had two younger ones below her and two above her, and she was extremely close to her mom. And they didn't have like a forced relationship. They truly passionately enjoyed spending time with each other. When you saw my mother, you saw my grandmother. When you saw my grandmother, you saw my mother. So much so, like, my mother would teach school part-time sometime and teach at the school, be my grandmother's teacher's assistant. And so it worked very well. They had a great relationship, with each other. And so when my mom passed, it really, really did a number on our family. When I tell you that the void that you could feel in our family was palatable. I mean, to this day, it has had a resounding impact on our family. I mean, it is definitely, when they say the historical saying, the shot across the world, that was the shot across the world that you could hear when it came to the loss of my mom. So many people were endeared to her. So many people loved her, and she was that girl. She was beautiful. I mean, my mom was gorgeous, and she had the most beautiful smile. She was highly intelligent. I later found out, just another side note, that my mom, when she passed, she was in the process of getting her PhD in nursing. And when my grandmother passed, she was in the process of getting her PhD in higher education administration, or rather in educational leadership. Educational leadership, and so for me to be getting my PhD right now, like, this is crazy for me. So, but I digress. I'll talk about that, later. But to have that type of great loss for me, it always kind of it really left a major void in my life. And I have tried through the years of how do I feel that empty spot, of her gone. And one of the ways that that emptiness was filled was through my relationship with my granddaddy. And He used to wake me up in the morning. He called me my sweet, and it was one word, my sweet, all put together. And anybody who's close to me, very, very close to me, they know that, they know, how close, and they saw it, how close my grandfather and I were to each other. And so losing him was such a traumatic thing for me, because he was truly the representation of what I saw in terms of the ideal man. He was quiet, quiet and soft spoken, but yet he had a presence with himself. He was, he was truly what they were, in today's term, what they refer to as an alpha male. He was a gentleman's gentleman. There was no one who I knew that did not care for my grandfather. He stayed in what they call dockers, like khaki dockers, and penny loafers on a regular basis. He probably had one pair of sneakers and one pair of jeans. He did not, that was just not his thing. He owned his own tuxedo. I mean, this man was a classy man. When Jadena sung "I'm a Classic Man," that was a classic man. He just, every now and then, he would have a little something to drink, not often, but he just had such a presence about him. He always smelled good. He had a great smile. He was wise, self-educated. He had dropped out of school when, I think he said, around 3rd or 4th grade. But my grandfather would order my brother and I a new set of encyclopedias every single year, and he would read through all those encyclopedias, every single volume, of those encyclopedias every year. And so that's what I saw in terms of what a man was supposed to be like. So when I started having male interactions, and it wasn't showing up the way it was supposed, what I thought it was supposed to look at, that did a number on me. So needless to say, once my grandfather passed, I dropped out of school for a while, and I got a really good job. That job ended up with a telephone company. Back in the day, the job that you wanted was in telecommunications, because that was where the dough was. And so I ended up getting a job in telecommunications. That job took me from Durham, North Carolina, to the Atlanta metro area. And I lived in the Atlanta metro area for a while. I wasn't happy down there. Ended up moving to Delaware for a while, and that was a very brief stint of living in Wilmington, Delaware. Was it? Yeah, it was. And then from Wilmington, Delaware, I ended up moving to Philadelphia. And as I stated before, I have a lot of family. Philadelphia is my second home, so it just makes sense for me to be in Philly. And I lived there for for 10 years, I think, almost about 10 years. Lived there and then came back home. But nothing ever would fill that void after my grandfather passed away. So when I had my son in 2007, I started to feel, like, okay, my heart feels like it's starting to heal. And through trials and tribulations, I was making really good money in Philly. I came back home, and of course I was not making that same type of money. You're going from the north to the south. Some of the technology that was there in the north did not transfer down here or translate down here in the south. So it was hard, to say the least. Financially, it was very hard. Emotionally, it was hard. Mentally, I went through a lot of different things during that particular time. And I finally, as I said, fast forward to about 2018-ish, 2017, somewhere or another, I think I said, and I decided to go back to North Carolina Central. And North Carolina Central had been working with me. I kept taking classes the whole time, while I was up there, but just, a class here and there, but they kept working with me. And so I finally got enrolled, and they launched a new program called the End Zone program. And that End Zone program was there to help adult students, working students, to get back to get their degree and get back into the workforce. I'm coming right back with the last part.